My name is Rachel Rofe. I created this show because I wanted to help you see that if you have a choice, you can choose a better life. If you're listening to this podcast, you're in a pretty fortunate position. You have free will, ability to connect to the internet, and access to all kinds of new education. This podcast is meant to help you make the most of your good fortune. We talk with all kinds of people here from all walks of life because I want you to see that no matter what your situation, there's always a way to create a life that you're proud of. Hello. So today's podcast is with Crystal Cave. Crystal is a stylist, and she specializes in working with people who identify with having a not-so-skinny body. Today's episode, whether or not you identify with having a not-so-skinny body, I think there's a lot of great information in this episode just about loving your body, whatever it is. A lot of us have some kind of body hang-up. And Crystal's backstory is that she used to be a stylist for all kinds of Hollywood celebrities. So she styled Taylor Swift, Kate Upton, Usher. She did Mercedes commercials, the Billboard Music Awards, and she had a lot of great clients that way. But she realized that she wanted to work with more, kind of normal bodies. So she created this company, the Not So Skinny Style. And for me personally, I've just found Crystal to be an inspiration because, as I mentioned in other podcasts, I had been gaining weight because I got this thing called PCOS, and no matter how well I ate and exercised and all this stuff, I kept just gaining weight and feeling so frustrated about it. And Crystal is really good about feeling confident in her body, and so she was a beacon for me personally. And I just love how she rocks where she is. She signed up for Miss Plus USA, and she wears all kinds of great clothes. On her website, she has a picture of her wearing a pink tutu. Just awesome stuff. So in today's episode, we go over all kinds of things, including how to love your body wherever it is, how to handle it if people make any kind of criticisms towards you, how to deal with judgment, how to create an alter ego, just to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. And then Crystal also gives some style tips later in the episode for both men and women on just fun ways to make your style pop. I think today's episode is really fun, and I really enjoyed it, and I hope that you do too. Crystal and I were actually in the same mastermind last year, and we just became great friends, and I adore her, and I know we're just going to be in communication for life. She's very smart, she has a heart of gold, and it's just such an inspiration for being comfortable in your skin. I saw, got finished with the most extraordinary photo shoot. She's competing for Miss Plus USA and just seems so comfortable with her body. And for me, when I found out that I had PCOS and I just started gaining lots of weight, and it just felt so frustrating to me, and like I couldn't get rid of it no matter what I tried, and I was just getting so frustrated with all the clothes that I was trying on and hating them. Crystal just felt like a really great inspiration for me. She was a huge inspiration for me. Regardless if you identify with the being, quote, skinny, unquote, or not, most of us have some kind of body image issue. So in this podcast, in part, I'm going to be talking with Crystal about how you can feel amazing in your body, no matter what it looks like. And then we're also going to go over how Crystal got over her vulnerabilities, including feeling like she should wait to have a fashion blog until she was thin. And then maybe even some clothing style basics, which I think will be really fun. So we're going to have a good time. So Crystal, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for all those kind words. The feeling is totally mutual with our friendship. You are such a light, and I'm so blessed to have you in my life.
Aw, thank you. The intention behind A Better Life is to show people that if they have a choice, they can choose a better life. So in that spirit, can you take a minute to share some of the things that you're most proud of in your life?
Yeah, my biggest thing, and you had kind of touched on it, was just actually getting over that I had to wait until I lost weight to do a number of things that I've done, especially in the last so many years. One of the most recent things was actually going on camera. For as long as I can remember, I actually always wanted to be in front of the camera, but was one of the people behind it. So in November of this year, I actually went in front of the camera to film videos that are coming out in January. That's like one of many things I've been doing to really just allow myself to even feel more comfortable in my own body. There's other things that I've done in addition to just starting my fashion blog. I started it because figured, okay, I'm a stylist and I know how to style my body and I have so much to teach people. And then just for my first post, I had so many people commenting like, oh my God, this is so helpful. Thank you for saying this. Like, this is how I feel. Like, there's nobody out there I found that I can relate to. I didn't do it as a form of like validation. But it made me feel good that I actually got over that fear of actually pressing publish. I mean, it honestly took me about 4 months from getting the photographs to actually publishing them. But, all that stuff takes time. Putting out that first blog post or doing the on-camera stuff, it's less hard each time. So, I mean, just realizing that, like, I can do anything I want and not about how I look. It's about what I have to say and just really putting that into the world. That's been like the biggest thing for me.
So how did you start to feel okay with your body, or how did you decide, like after the 4 months, to actually go through and post your pictures?
So I actually took the pictures at the beginning of doing Live More, Way Less, which is run by Sarah Jenks, who I'm a huge fan of. And I had just signed up. Her whole thing is like, stop waiting on the wait. And that was such a novel idea to me because for about 20 years prior, I was always waiting for the wait to do anything. I was like, you know what? I'm going to schedule my photo shoot. And I did it within a couple days of signing up for Live More, Way Less. And I did the photo shoot. And it was amazing because, I mean, my photographer, Kat Harris, who has also done all my recent branding photography, I've been very lucky with her. She's such a gem, and she makes me feel extremely comfortable in front of camera. But I also realized, like, through that process, just the fact of, like, putting myself out there and not waiting to lose 20 pounds, and I actually ate McDonald's the day of my first photo shoot, like, it's just not getting so in my head and just being in the present and being in my own body. The photo shoot was such a big step for me. It was just weird after like a couple photo shoots with her doing some monthly style posts. I realized like that alone, I was so much more comfortable in front of the camera. And with that, I also became more comfortable in my body. It's amazing like how vulnerable you can feel just getting in front of a camera. I mean, we're in a selfie-obsessed society, but there's a difference between taking a selfie and actually like having a professional photographer do a whole photo shoot. There's ways to stand. Like, honestly, I also have a lot more respect for models now with how hard it is to actually be in front of camera because you don't know, like, if you're very in your head, nothing will come out good. Being in front of the camera is the ultimate test of being present in your body. So taking that from the photo shoot and then integrating it into my everyday life, the tips I got from Live More, Way Less, one thing that I did was just thanking my body every day for the amazing vessel that she is. I mean, our bodies do so many amazing things for us. If you think of everything they go through, it's a lot, and somehow they're so resilient. Really having that gratitude for her and continually going in and thanking her was also like another thing around that time that started to get me more in the process of really feeling like grounded within my own body and comfortable within it.
And so the ongoing process of the gratitude helped you just press publish, huh?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, I literally waited 48 hours after it was like really done to press publish, and then I was like, it's now or never. Like, if nobody reads this, nobody reads it. If it's only my grandmother, like, that's awesome too. Being in that groundedness and just being like, this is what feels right to me, and this is what I want to do, no matter the outcome, and just feeling more comfortable within myself really helps me be able to then press like publish for the first time.
I feel like you're just giving such a big gift to so many people because, as you said, so many people responded to you when you made your first post. I do think that I know you said you're not doing it for validation, but I think you're helping validate so many people out there who feel like they have to wait on the wait and just don't feel good. And for people who aren't feeling good, it's like everything's affected. I remember when I used to go and like look at the scale every morning, it was if I lost weight, then great, and if I didn't, like the entire day was ruined. Forget about it.
You know what's funny? One of the things I stopped doing was weighing myself. I haven't weighed myself in at least 2 years now, I think, and that was something that I started doing around that time as well because I realized that I started to have a number validate my life, and I was having so much anxiety around it, and I was like, well, this is kind of dumb. It's more of like a metric for doctors, so it's amazing for me. Like, that actually also helped me as well.
Yeah, seriously. Like, and I'm a big proponent of what gets tracked, like that you're able to make improvement on, but I'm much bigger about like measuring tape and stuff. But I know for the scale, I mean, there's just so many variables. And I remember it was back in 2008 when I made the decision to get rid of the scale, and I remember that I was on the phone with my ex, and I had him like, literally, he talked me through walking from my apartment down to the dumpster and throwing it out because I had given this thing so much power. It was terrifying for me to not have it anymore.
I actually had my mother hide it when we were moving into my apartment. I was like, hide this somewhere I will not find it. And then if in a few months I decide that I'm okay and I can weigh myself now, like, fine. But then I found found it when I moved out of that apartment. It's a nice scale, so I didn't want to throw it out, so it's just in storage now. But, I'm not going to replace the battery. Like, it will probably end up in a garage sale in the next couple of years. It's funny because I feel like even bathrooms are, like, revolved around where the scale is, too. I don't know. That's just, like, my own feeling around it. Like, I wouldn't even want to go into, like, my shower or whatever because I'd see the scale. And so just by hiding it from my face every day was enough to also feel better about it, too. I'm impressed you took it all the way to the dumpster. That's really impressive.
It's just, I still use measuring tape and stuff, but it's just, I don't know, having those numbers just put so much power on, it's just insane. I can't get over how crazy it is that so many of us live like that.
It's like that with clothing sizes as well. Like, we so fixate on being a certain size when that actually can vary so much as well. These metrics are kind of like just one of those like crazy things that frustrates me so much in a way when I really think about it. But once you start taking off the pressure of numbers, and like, believe me, I'm like one of the most analytical people ever. But once you stop like looking at them and revolving your life around it, it like really takes off so much pressure and so much anxiety from your life. Like, clearly you understand.
Yeah, and I think just to speak to your point, it's like when you're not focused on that and you're in gratitude of your body, and like you said, your body's an amazing vessel and appreciating it, I think you then naturally choose to eat healthier and do better things from your body, and it's coming from a place of pleasure and surplus versus just restriction and misery.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think even those days that say you do want to go get a hamburger or something that's like a little more luxurious and meaty or whatever, you don't feel as bad about it. There's also like that part where it's like you're just letting your body really choose what it needs. And sometimes it needs beef from a burger. Some days it needs a salad.
Yeah, absolutely. And they say, actually, a couple people say, first, like Jenna LaFlamme from Pleasurable Weight Loss and Sarah Jenks, your digestion is such an important part of it. So if you can just take the time and enjoy whatever it is that you're eating, your body is better able to assimilate it. And an interesting story is Jenna told me she actually was working with a guy who was addicted to McDonald's hamburgers. And she said, you know what? It's fine. Like, eat whatever you want. Just eat it slowly and enjoy it. And I'm totally fine. And she said for him, he found that because the McDonald's hamburgers are designed to be eaten really quickly, he said that when he stopped and he ate it really slowly, he's like tasting it. He's like, ugh, like I actually don't like this. And he never wanted to eat it again. But it was coming from a place of it was his decision, right? It wasn't like he was forcing himself not to because it was the wrong thing to do. So I think in just any case, it's always good to just like make a conscious decision, not an autopilot. This is bad, like I should all the time,
Obviously, yeah, like that's one of like the biggest things. It's like we go through life with a lot of times in such a big autopilot that we don't realize sometimes we just need to press pause and slow down.
So you mentioned your mom, and one of the questions that I had actually for you was, I know in the past your mom has made some comments to you that haven't felt super good, and I'm just curious how you handle that and what your advice would be to other people who get comments from people that they love about their weight.
Mothers are always caring about their children so much that sometimes, they say things, and I think what I've realized, especially through like the mastermind we've been in and working with one of my coaches, Kavita, like the thing that we need to realize is that anytime someone says something to you, it's either because of their own thing, and like at least for mothers, I view it as like they care about you. So sometimes it doesn't always come out right. They're just human. I know it's not just myself, but people I've worked with and people I know, like good friends, will talk about going into a dressing room with their mother and how it was like it can end up in a fight. And once you realize that sometimes maybe that's not the best situation for you to be in. I know recently I've had to do some stuff with like my sisters. My sister is engaged, so we've all been going to bridal salon and then trying on bridesmaids dresses. So it's interesting being in that situation because sometimes mothers can be the ones that trigger you the most, right? But anything that like I've realized that I've taken from other people has mostly been because I had that judgment myself secretly and I hated that someone was saying it. That's been like a big aha for me to realize that. It's like huge. And that's like the one thing that I've realized with a lot of people, like so many people get upset about anybody talking about them or saying something to them. And a lot of times the issue is really that you're triggered by it because maybe you believe that or you just care too much about what other people think that unfortunately you just have to realize that that person also is a human and has things that they're working through that you have no idea what they've experienced in their life. So whether it's mothers or just people in general, like I recently had some internet haters who said some mean stuff about me, and like just realizing like I know nothing about their lives and they know nothing about mine, and like clearly for them it comes from a place of what I kind of think is a sad place, that they have to go out and criticize people. It's almost like a sickness within our society that we want to judge everyone so much instead of just loving each other. And like perhaps that's naive to think we can all just love each other, but you know, the more we allow everyone else to shine, we also allow ourselves to shine just as much. And I think that is the most powerful thing we could do for one another in this world.
I think you make some really phenomenal points, and I totally agree that allowing each other to shine is the best thing we can do. I think you're absolutely right. I know, even as you were talking, I was thinking there's certain things that people could say to me, like you could tell me that I don't care about my customers or the people that I love. You could say that, and I'd just be like, you know, that's a joke, right? Like I just wouldn't care because it's just so not true.
Right.
But if you say something that I'm worried about or have something about, of course I'll be a lot more worried about it. So I think that's really phenomenal advice. Like really look at yourself if you're getting triggered about certain things, and or look at how much you care about what other people think. And the other thing is, I just saw this picture on Instagram that I thought was so funny, and I do agree that some people are very judgmental, and I also think that for so many of us, the picture on Instagram said, dance like nobody's watching, because they're probably not. They're looking at their cell phone. And that's like how it is, right? Like, so many of us have our own hangups in our head, but we're not. Like, people are looking at their phones. They don't care. Or whatever it is.
Well, that was the thing, like, when I first started out doing photo shoots, we were out in LA where I was living at the time. Lived in this really cool development called Park La Brea, which is right near the Grove. So there were all these like little enclaves in which we could walk around and shoot in. At first I was thinking like, oh my God, all these people are going to be looking at me. And it's like, most of the time people are actually on their cell phones and they don't notice. Like kind of funny when someone like ends up saying a comment that's really nice. For the most part, it was like nobody was paying attention to you. It's mostly in our heads that we think people care so much. And then when they care enough to say something, it's actually not about us. It's more about them a lot of those times.
Absolutely. I'm curious, how's the Miss Plus USA process going?
Well, I actually have to finish applying to Miss Plus USA. I got like a preliminary approval to submit the application. With the general craziness of life, that is actually one of the things that is on my to-do list is to finish. I actually have to do like a short 1-minute video. But I'm excited for it because I think, you know, it's really cool to have a platform in which you can go and have women be celebrated, and double-digit women. And that's what I really liked about looking at Miss Plus USA and like what that was all about when it came out last year and I heard about it. I think so often we want to have it be about who's the thinnest, and you know, the whole body positivity thing has been very hot in 2014. But even with all that aside, it's like there still is so much out there where, you know, we don't celebrate women in community, no matter where they come from and who they are. And I just really love Miss Plus USA and the whole process of that as just a really great opportunity for, at least for me, what interests me in it is the fact that I'll be able to go out and really help make that whole message larger of, you know, really loving yourself no matter your size and just really feeling grounded in your own body. I'm excited to, basically what happens is you end up getting training. There's not really anything before next August. I don't have to do much before then, from what I'm aware. So it's kind of cool. Like you go out to Seattle and you end up having like a week there and they train you because, I mean, when I was growing up, I wanted to be Miss America. I mean, like who didn't? And I remember there was one, I don't know if she was a contestant or someone who won and she had been heavy and she lost all this weight to actually become Miss America or at least compete in the pageant. I remember it was like a big thing, maybe 10, 15 years ago. And I remember sitting there and I wasn't old enough to compete in the pageant at that point in time. And I was like, cool, like she's going to be an inspiration. Like I'm going to lose weight and then I can be in Miss America. And I didn't lose the weight that I would quote unquote need to do to be a Miss American contestant. But I love that they have these other ways in which you can still compete and do a beauty pageant. And it's even in a way more about female and body empowerment.
Absolutely. I was telling Don on the way here, I was telling him that I was about to do the interview with you, and I told him I really hope she wins. I can't wait.
I know. I think hopefully our entire group of 15 of us will be out there. I don't know who will be able to make it, but we have our little inner circle of people. So
yes, give us the details as soon as you have them.
I know. I'm approved. I'll let you know.
Awesome. So another thing that I wanted to ask you about, you've blogged about this, and I know just from knowing you all about your alter ego. And can you tell us about your alter ego and how it helped you get out of your comfort zone in both your wardrobe and your life?
Yeah. So my alter ego is named Oprah. Actually, today I just picked up a new car, so I kept joking, like, you get a car, and you get a car, no, I get a car. So, like, it's funny, because I kind of, like, a lot of celebrities, Beyonce is one of them, she has her alter ego, Sasha Fierce, and I think, like, there are really cool ways to allow yourself and give yourself permission to let yourself be a little bit bigger than you normally play. So for me, Oprah at first, like, was really good within my business. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get into my Oprah, and, like, what would Oprah do? Whether it's, like, I kind of channel the Oprah Winfrey, but, whether the name is something different or it's, like, snazzy yazzy, or I don't know, that alter ego is a really fun way to, like, help you get outside of your head, more into doing different things that you wouldn't normally do, or, like, give yourself permission, or, like, for me, give myself Crystal Cave permission to do. So as far as, like, how that relates to style, I think one of the really cool ways of doing that is just experimenting with different styles. When I was younger, I was definitely more of, like, a preppy person. Like, I went to a prep school, so I was all around, like, people who popped their collars and things like that. And so, starting in college, and I mean, this was really before I dubbed my alter ego, because that's more of, like, a recent way I've kind of articulated what it is. I started experimenting with, like, different style archetypes. Like, I'm one of those people that just loves dressing up. So I kind of view it as that idea. Not that, like, you have to pretend you're an actor or actress, but you can try on different things. So maybe Oprah is feeling, like, really sassy, so she'll put on, like, some leather and, like, with a low neckline or something. Or she's feeling super conservative, so she's gonna, like, dress in, like, a cable knit sweater or something. For me, especially with the Oprah, and what I say within the alter ego is, like, just kind of feel into what, like, the different personalities, kind of like a multiple personality idea. And we all, as humans, have different natural sways between, like, maybe wanting to be sassy, or, like, a little more conservative, or sexy, or fun. And I feel like style is a really fun way to reflect that. So whether it's through accessories, or the types of fabrics you're wearing, or the colors, like, there's just so many ways that you can just let your alter ego shine. And for me, like, with Oprah, like, I feel like she's a little more presency, like, I'm gonna stomp on the boardroom table type of person. So, like, one of the things I did, which was actually in the blog post, was my Oprah jumpsuit, which coincidentally, of all places, I got from Forever 21. They have a really great plus size collection, and it was really well constructed and fit my personal body type really well. Like, that's one of those things I get into when I'm, like, maybe feeling a little down, and I just need to, like, feel like I call it the HBIC, which essentially head bitch in charge, which is my Oprah. I'll wear that, and I'll kind of instantly start to get into that and feel a little more sassy and, like, kind of in control. And then another thing I do is get into, like, my girly Oprah, which is in my tutu. So there's been some days where I've just needed a little more sparkle in the day, but it wasn't about, like, stepping more into a powerfulness. It was just more of a playfulness. And so I'll put on my tutu and dance around in it, which I got the tutu for my branding shoot. It's now kind of become something that's kind of a fun pick-me-up during the day. So I think after we get to about 10, if you played dress up when you were younger, like, so many people stop doing it. And I think it's just, like, such a fun way to just experiment and really, like, get yourself seeing style as, like, a really fun art project. And you can try all these different things. It doesn't mean you have to commit to it. I mean, you can buy stuff from Forever 21 or What Seal, especially if you're a double digit size. They have things that you can easily just like try on and see how you like it instead of spending the same amount of money for something from a higher end brand. I feel like there's so many ways that you can really experiment within your style and like what feels like a safe and not like super edgy way that can kind of get you to explore yourself a little more or have a pick me up or more fierceness added into your day.
Yeah, the thing that I really like about the alter ego is I just think about how I forget exactly how many words it is, but it's something like, I think it's like the average person uses the same 200 words over and over. I'm pretty sure it's something that's that ridiculously low. And it's just because we're such creatures of habit, and so many of us don't have the opportunities where we stretch out. And I think that's why things like travel and new experiences are so important, because otherwise it's like the same thing, the same thing. And I think people get like that with their style too. It's just so fun. It's like a great way to just feel more alive.
Yeah, and it's like crazy how if you just do one small thing each day, your day can be so different. Whether it's putting on a fun pair of heels or putting on a bold lipstick, like that is also a way, like through makeup and hair, that I really allow myself to do like small little things to really just help myself like experiment with different moods. For me, it helps me channel like my inner artist. For someone else, it might be something different. I have been in this very analytical life for so many years that kind of allowing myself to be in that inner child of like play and exploration and like my inner little artist Crystal or Oprah, whoever, is just like a really amazing thing. And I think that's what I've always loved about fashion, is that it's totally a way in which you can explore, and it's not a commitment. Like you can take the thing off if you want. It's not like a hair color. You're not stuck with it for months. It can be fun. It's like people think of it as such an intimidation, especially because so many of us put a certain pressure for size or a certain weight, certain numbers, whatever they are, instead of really just like exploring in the here and now and allowing ourselves to just be, really.
I love that, and I love how you mentioned it's like it's bringing out your inner artist. And as you were talking,
Yeah.
I was thinking for guys who are listening to this podcast who might identify with being analytical, I mean, I think there's even ways that you can switch up your style, whether it be, I see like style, like funky ties or watches or socks, or, I mean, can you think of other things that guys can do to switch it up?
Yeah, I mean, my focus right now has always like 100% women. So I don't always give out men's style advice. I normally leave that to our friend Julie Rath. But, I actually started out doing a lot of banking commercials because when I started styling, I was based in New York. That's where a lot of those are filmed. So, I mean, I think a really fun way is definitely like the ties. I think like even eyewear is a fun way that like the recent years, so many guys have been able to experiment with things, whether it's sunglasses or clear glasses. You see someone like Usher on The Voice putting on glasses one week and like Twitter explodes. I remember this happened a couple of years ago. Those are like really fun small ways. Like I know my brother, he has said to me, "Oh, I'm a not so skinny guy. What are you going to do for me?" And he actually does a really good job of like himself just like experimenting with like fun colors of sunglasses or like fun pants. Like it's funny, he probably should do like the male version of what I do. Just fun patterns. Like he is a golfer. So I'm just using him as an example because I feel like he is just a good example of someone who kind of experiments. He lets himself play his range. So some days he's a little more skater, some days he's a little more preppy. But like within that, it's like he'll do pops of colors. Instead of doing all black, he'll do like all pink. I think men are so scared of colors. And I mean, even women are too. So many women hide behind just wearing black all the time, for example, instead of just like allowing themselves to shine and stand out. So I think regardless of your sex, like allowing yourself to stand out and like do fun things is like a really important thing. I mean, I definitely think like the sunglasses, ties, different color pants are really fun with guys. Like I always love seeing guys who will experiment with like different colors and pants, which maybe because I grew up in my high school was such like a preppy environment. I really love that. I think that's so fun. And I definitely think like socks or shoes are really a great way. It's like a small thing that can add a pop of color. One of my mentors that I trained under, Luke Story, has told stories of how he'll go in to do a lookbook photo shoot and it'll be like, it's not like the most bright and like crazy outfit ever, but those will be styled by the brand, and then he'll put like a fun pair of shoes and we'll be like, oh my god, this made the outfit. And it's just small things like that can make such a difference.
Can you tell us a little bit more about just how you shop for clothes? So specifically, I know you say a lot about what looks good on your body. How do you know what looks good on your body, or how do people listening know that?
It's probably more detailed than we have time for, but like the long and short of it, at least for women, the ideal way to dress your body is to dress it so it looks like an hourglass. Only 8% of women in the United States are actually an hourglass size. And that's actually how all clothing is generally cut. Was like really interesting to me when I found that out. Basically, ready to wear clothing is only cut for 8% of women, and 92% of people are kind of SOL. Really knowing that like most women actually have a larger bottom. So I'll just use that as an example of how you can make it more hourglass. So like if you have a larger bottom, maybe doing something with like a stronger shoulder. I mean, I'm not saying do like 80s like shoulder pads. I'm pretty hourglass, actually. I've been very blessed in that to be basically one of those 8% of women, but I am a little more bottom heavy, and like that's kind of changed throughout, my 20s. Most women have that, and clothing is not fit for that. Having like the shoulders, that's a big thing. Also like doing a belt can really cinch in the waist, so it really allows you to see the hourglass shape. Those are like kind of a couple like quick tips around that. I mean, personally, what I recommend to a lot of people, if you don't want to do a belt, because sometimes those can be uncomfortable, like peplum, you have to have it sit on your waist. It's cut different ways, so you have to find the right one for your own torso. Peplum is also like a really fun way to add a little flair to your style, and like super easy, like throw on a peplum top and like tapered pants, and it can easily hug your curves and is very tummy flattering.
Mm. And that's interesting because I thought that clothes were designed for like model types, like kind of straight up and down. Has that changed, or has it always been models are an hourglass? So I'm curious.
There was actually an article, which we can put a link on the post that you put this out in. I believe it was in Time, and it talked about the history of clothing sizes. And it was really interesting to me because up until about, I think, 60 years ago, give or take maybe a couple decades, most clothing was like ready to wear. You made it yourself. And so around that time, they started standardizing everything so it could be ready to wear. It was like kind of the manufacturing revolution, I think. Everything started being in department stores and things like that. You wouldn't just go to like someone who would custom design a dress, or like your mother wouldn't sew your dress for you anymore. It like became that you went to a store, and it was quicker that way. What they did to standardize the size, apparently the government tried to do it, and they had a standardization. But what happened was it was largely skewed smaller. The article doesn't go into explain why. They just explain that essentially from the beginning, the whole sizing system was flawed. Apparently, I think it was in the 80s that the government did away with the whole them controlling the standardized sizing. You have designers doing all different types of clothing, and it was interesting, like from other research I've done, it's just like really finding out that they do it based on the hourglass shape. Like even when they look for plus size models, my understanding is that they generally look for women who are hourglass shape. Models are actually like the sizes can change. So like certain decades it's been very like waif boy looking bodies. Other times it's more curvy. I think right now we're getting a little more to the curvy, especially with a lot of the body love and body acceptance things that we kind of talked about has been a big trend in 2014. But even models can vary a lot. But as far as like fit models, they have them for each size. So, it really can vary based on the brand and the model they use to fit the clothing and fit the samples of each size. It's kind of like a really flawed, screwed up system, which is why you just have to be so gentle to yourself when you're shopping, knowing that this is actually more for your convenience rather than a judgment of who you are, like as a person.
Absolutely. Because I want our listeners to know that you're still a real human, you still have everyday struggles, and we're always evolving.
Yeah.
What is something right now that you're working through in your life, and how are you getting through it?
Let's see. I mean, my one thing that I consistently am butting heads with is just the idea of surrender. A lot of times I go into like what I would say is probably more of a masculine mode of trying to control all of it instead of just like letting go and just knowing what's meant to happen will happen. Right now I have decided to purchase a car, and last week while I was searching for it, this is just like a small example of like everyday life, but I was just so frustrated because I had an idea of how I wanted to feel and something was like not right for me. And then I got to a point where I was like, I can't control this. Like, I can control it to a certain extent, right? Like, I can control, like, the fact that I'll go into a certain dealership and look at certain cars and try it, but, like, I also can't control if the car is going to be right or if they're going to have it in stock, whatever it is. And I had just reached out to a group of women that I go to, and I was just like, I don't know why I keep butting up against this, where it's like, I don't just, like, let myself get to this point of, like, letting go. It's going to happen. I have faith. And then everything came together. So that's like one thing. It's kind of the recovering perfectionist in me, I guess, that like always wants everything to have all my ducks in a row. So I mean, for me, how I'm getting over it is just really having like amazing communities of people I can go to with support, including our community, Rachel, of girls that I go to when I have something that I'm struggling with. I think that's been the biggest thing for me. Community is like, I have found has been absolutely so beneficial for me, because a lot of times people are like, even if they don't understand, it's like if you're in the right group of people, they'll just say, okay, I've got you, like you've got this, you're okay, we're here, whatever you need to say, whether it's vomiting, like word vomiting on someone, or maybe actual vomit, I guess. Being able to have and surround myself with people that really get me and accept me and are there for me, whether we've grown up in the same town or just met 6 months ago, has been completely like revolutionary in my own life. And then also like allowing myself to be vulnerable in that situation, because a lot of times, like at least myself, I find myself so in my head. You know, my brain goes really fast. So like I can go from like A to DEFCON, whatever it is, DEFCON 5 in like 2.5 seconds, you know, just like really catching myself in that thought process as well. So it's like the community, and then like kind of, I don't want to say kill, but like, you know, like stopping those mean girls in my head, as I like to call them, who will start like overanalyzing things and making it into like a bigger deal than it needs to be. And I think like another thing on top of it all is just gratitude. In the middle of last week, for example, looking for a car, which like, it's a car. Like I was in shock of why I was like crying so much after we left dealerships. Like it felt so crazy to me. And I did a meditation that Oprah has with her and Deepak Chopra. It was just like the art of surrender and like just really allowing yourself to let go and just allowing myself to go within for that 20 minutes to do that meditation was just like the self-care that I needed.
That's great advice. I think that that's going to help so many people. And we're wrapping up a little bit, but I have two more questions. I'm curious, what would you say to somebody who is listening now and feeling like Crystal, it's great for you that you are able to like start to love your body more and all this stuff, but I don't really believe it. Or like, you know, maybe they're just scared to make changes for themselves, or like, just what kind of advice would you give to them?
Well, I mean, the first thing, we're never going to change until we really want to change ourselves, right? If they're listening to that and they have resistance, it might be because it's not the right time for them to change. I hate to say that, but it's kind of one of those realities of life. If we're forced to change, that change will not be sustainable. But if you're in the place where you really do want to change, it's just about doing like small things each day. Like the whole idea of like Rome wasn't built in a day is so true. Like you don't get body confidence overnight. It might be at a point where you start doing small things and then you suddenly realize, oh, holy crap, I feel so much better in my body. You don't just like come to that overnight. Little things each day. Like, and just not being mean to yourself. If you notice that what you're saying is about what other people think about you, or things that are coming up in your head are just like consistent judgments, like those are just small things. If you're noticing that, just kind of just start dialing it back and being gentle. You know, it's like our coach Nisha will always be like about being nice to like your inner child. You know, you hear yourself kind of crap talking. Like the best thing you can do is just say, okay, honey, it's okay. I've got this. And, you know, not everybody can do that all the time. Even if you do it, you notice it once a day, then it becomes twice a day. And maybe in a couple of weeks, you're kind of eliminating like whatever it is out of your life. Or if you're trying to integrate just doing some small things to help your wardrobe get fun, like just like add a fun color, fun accessory, like you will not die by adding a fun necklace. It's just like those are small little things each day that you can really do to just help play up things. So necklaces, fun shoes, earrings, I used to like to experiment with headbands. I'm not so much into those anymore. Maybe it was like my Gossip Girl phase. But that was like always the way I would say, oh, like if you want to do headbands, like that can make you feel a little sweet. And even makeup. Small things with makeup are a really fun way to help just kind of instantly give yourself a lift. And then one thing I actually also tell people is just smiling and eye contact, because 70% of people, when they first come in contact with you, will look at your teeth and then your like eyes, which is pretty substantial. So like if you're going to do anything, just smile and look at someone in the eyes. If you have the greatest outfit ever style, they're not going to notice it if you're like slumped down and not looking at someone in the face and like really closed down. That's hard for a lot of people, but just like even practicing with yourself in the mirror, there's like so many different things you can do, I think. So hopefully those are some different methods that different people can use depending on like where you are in your own life.
Yeah, no, those are fabulous. Thank you very much. I think that you've given so many awesome tips, and I just feel like we covered so many different things, from just pleasure and the alter ego and being okay with yourself. And I mean, this went like so many different ranges, which I love.
Who knew style could do all that?
Right? So spectacular. So can you let people know where they can go to find out more about you?
Of course. You can go to exocrystalcave.com and find out all about me, how you can work with me. There's some things I'm doing in the coming months that will be for free. I also have an Instagram challenge I'm running in January, because I really found like around the New Year's we get so obsessed with like wanting to lose weight. Like I've been hearing that all around me this week, I feel like. I'm seeing all this propaganda, I guess. And I was like, why don't we just have fun instead? So what I'm doing, which is kind of what we talked about doing like one small, like fun thing each day, is what I'm going to do in a 15-day Instagram challenge. And even if you sign up, I'm giving away a free Kate Spade bag and some other prizes, so that you can find out all the information for that at notsoskinny.style.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and if you are on social media, I am at Exo Crystal Cave on every social media platform.
Great. And so if you are listening, there's going to be show notes on the page. So if you need links to anything, they'll all be right over there. So thank you so much again. I feel like just even doing this interview, I know you said like you felt like you should be like in front of the camera, and even just in this interview, I can see how easy it is just to talk with you. I know we're friends anyway, but you're such a great conversationalist with the interviews, because you just feed back and like keep going with the conversation and stuff. So I totally agree. You're meant to be shining. Yes. All right. This has been great. Thank you again, and I guess I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to A Better Life. You can find all show notes for this episode at rachelrofe.com. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe so you can automatically get access to all new shows. Let's also connect. Just go onto Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram /RachelRofe, and we can talk there. The opinions of all guests here are their own, and I'm not necessarily endorsing any of them. I do want to give you perspective